Shadowed Battlegrounds presents a loyal dog's survival in a war-torn city. Emotional Spanish Civil War tale. The echo of artillery rumbled in the distance, shaking the earth beneath the paws of a German shepherd named Paco. The Spanish Civil War had reached its devastating peak, and Paco's world had been turned upside down. Just moments ago, his owner, a kind man named Roberto, had been beside him, comforting him in the chaos. But now, Paco stood alone amidst the smoke, his senses overwhelmed by the acrid scent of gunpowder and destruction. Roberto was gone, struck down by the shrapnel that ripped through the narrow street. Paco nudged his owner's lifeless hand, whimpering softly. But Roberto didn't stir. The distant sounds of soldiers and bombs grew louder, and Paco, driven by instinct, fled into the maze of the ruined city. The streets were unrecognizable. Buildings that once stood tall and proud were now crumbled into piles of rubble. The familiar sights and smells of the city had been replaced by dust, fear, and the scent of burning wood. Paco weaved his way through the debris, his ears twitching at every sound, his nose searching for something, someone familiar. Paco moved swiftly, guided by an innate sense of survival. He slipped past soldiers, avoiding the sights of rifles and boots stomping through the streets. The dog's stomach growled, reminding him that it had been days since he had eaten a proper meal. He scavenged what he could, finding scraps among the ruins. An old piece of bread here, a half-eaten fruit there. As night fell, the city became eerily quiet, except for the occasional explosion that lit up the night sky. Paco found temporary shelter in the remnants of what used to be a bakery. The smell of baked bread still lingered in the walls, a ghost of happier times. He curled up in a corner, his body trembling not from cold, but from the uncertainty of his journey. He dreamt of Roberto, of playing in the fields outside the city, of the gentle hand that used to scratch behind his ears. Morning came and Paco resumed his search. He wasn't sure what he was looking for, but a deep longing tugged at him, pulling him forward. His journey took him through more bombed-out streets, past soldiers who had long forgotten the peace that once filled this place. He passed a group of children, playing among the rubble, their laughter a stark contrast to the devastation surrounding them. For a moment, Paco paused, drawn to the innocence of their game. But he continued onward, guided by a feeling he couldn't quite explain. As Paco wandered deeper into the heart of the city, his nose picked up a familiar scent. It was faint but unmistakable, the smell of a person he had known before. It was the scent of Roberto's daughter, Isabella. Paco's heart raced. He had not seen her in weeks, not since the fighting began. But he remembered her kindness, her soft voice that called his name when she visited her father. The scent grew stronger as Paco moved through the streets, his determination pushing him forward. The closer he got, the more dangerous the city became. Bombs continued to fall, shaking the ground beneath him. But Paco pressed on, dodging through alleyways and leaping over debris. Finally, he reached a small courtyard. There, standing among the ruins, was Isabella. She was older now, her face hardened by the war, but Paco recognized her immediately. His heart leapt, and with a burst of energy, he sprinted toward her, barking frantically. Isabella turned at the sound of his voice, her eyes widening in disbelief. "Paco?" she whispered, kneeling as he reached her. Tears filled her eyes as she wrapped her arms around him. How did you find me?" Paco whimpered and licked her face, his body trembling with exhaustion and relief. For the first time since Roberto's death, Paco felt safe. He had found the one person who still connected him to his old life, to the love he had known before the war. Isabella cradled him, her tears falling into his fur. She whispered soothing words, promising him that he would never be alone again. The war raged on around them, but in that moment, amidst the destruction and chaos, Paco had found his new home. Together, they left the bombed-out courtyard, making their way to safety. Paco's journey through the ruins had come to an end, but in Isabella's arms, he had found something far greater, a family and a future filled with hope. If you like this story and want to see more, click the top left. If you want to help us, please hit the subscribe button. Top right, thank you.